Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Ola coming to you live from Sharp Edge News TV. We have some fantastic, trendy stories around the world that we're going to be sharing with you. First, that we have right now that we're going to talk about right now, it's called the WIKE-FUBARA war, new impeachment plot, and the secret meeting in France. So they're saying impeachment notices, secret flights to France, and a minister who says only the president can fire him. Rivers State is back on the brink. The fragile peace in Rivers State has officially scattered as we enter 2026. I'm pulling this from Channels TV. I'm also pulling this from other sources like Punch, Nigeria. They said last Thursday, the Rivers House of Assembly, loyal to Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike, formally commenced fresh impeachment proceedings against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy Ngozi Odu. The allegations, a 7-count charge including gross misconduct, unauthorized spending of 800 billion naira, and the controversial demolition of the assembly complex. In another news, they call it the Tinubu factor. Say in a dramatic twist, both Wike and Fubara were reported to have flown out of the country this past weekend. Fubara reportedly flew to France to meet with President Tinubu, while Wike was summoned for a separate high-stakes meeting, possibly in Dubai or France, as the president attempts to broker a third peace deal. And another one, they said the Wike defiance, according to Guardian Nigerian News, just yesterday at a thank you tour in Obio Akpo. Wike sent a clear message to his critics and the Ijaw Youth Council, stating, and I quote, "Only President Tinubu has the right to sack me." Meanwhile, PANDEF, PANDEF, the Pan Nigeria Delta Forum, has set
Pan Niger Delta Forum. Pan Niger Delta Forum.
Pan Niger
Delta Forum. Yeah, PANDEF.
Got it. Has set up a high-level reconciliation committee led by former Attorney General Kanu Agabi, giving them just 2 weeks to stop the state from sliding back into a full-blown state of emergency. So, this feels like a repeat of 2025, but the stakes are higher, with Fubara now in the APC and Wike vowing he won't get a second term. Is President Tinubu's intervention actually working, or is he just delaying an inevitable explosion in the Niger Delta? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. We have a fantastic show. Like I said, hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. Hold tight, and we'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, High Chief Oladimeji Abitogun, welcome back, sir. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to the Sharp Edge News family. We have
Thank you so much.
We have a story in our hands here. So my question for you, okay, is this just another delaying of an inevitable explosion in the Niger Delta?
Thank you very much, Ola. This is also wishing you, in return, a happy new and prosperous year. You asked a very important question. Is it a moment of explosion or internal combustion within the political setup of Nigeria, particularly involving specifically Rivers State? And it's now become a Rivers State of trouble. The last time we visited this topic, remember, we were talking of a kind of hibernation.
Yeah.
See, for FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, since the official declaration of Governor Siminalayi Fubara to join the ruling All People's Congress, or All Progressives Congress in Nigeria. Then we describe them Mr. Wike has somewhat been a political orphan, and that some measure of desperation would boil to the surface, such that what we have always known about him, which could be succinctly put as one week, one trouble, that that will be the catharsis. That will be the pinnacle of this kind of show of shame, the charade that is called leadership tussle. And it's so unfortunate that at the end of the day, all said and done, even President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to be smeared because of the reckless and loose conduct, the recklessness of this political personnel, this character called Mr. Nyesom Wike. It does not have a limit. It doesn't pick his quarrels. And if he had chosen a career other than law practice, say being a military leader, it would be so tactless and poor in terms of strategy. It's opening several battlefronts at the same time. So easily, it is predictable that it will be bogged down at some point. And give something to WIKE-FUBARA. Appearing at a church service on Sunday, he did a state-manly thing that Nyesom Wike in 5,000 life cycles will never be able to do. Choosing to respect the sanctity of the hallowed space of the church, never using the opportunity of being given the microphone to denigrate or run down any political foe or perceived enemy. Rather, he sounded conciliatory, and that is where you would know that, well, this entire gang up, this entire situation in which now the sitting, honestly, the sitting Speaker of the House of Assembly in Rivers State, who will likely be the direct beneficiary in case they succeed at impeaching Governor FUBARA and his deputy, because the next person in the hierarchy of leadership there, line of succession, will be the Speaker of the House of Assembly. And somebody thinking right with adequate IQ will know that in this kind of situation, you find some fall guy to do your bidding, and then if it falls through, nobody would say that you are overly ambitious or that you are trying to plot a form of treasonable felony. But what can we say? Nyesom Wike living his workplace in Abuja because he is incapable of staying out of trouble. It's just too troublesome. Leaving his place of work in Abuja as Minister of FCT, honestly, you will find a contradiction in his conduct, suggestive of an antithesis to the Yoruba proverb that says, you do not carry an elephant on your head, that is a kind of elephant beef, and then you are still trying to search out or to try to scratch the ground, the field for the whole of a cricket. That in itself would be suggestive of being glutinous and avaricious. But that is what WIKE is displaying. The task in Abuja is just too demanding and deserving of total dedication and attention, that there should have been little or no time for the backward distraction that he got, or that he gets himself worked into. I do not know his handlers, I do not know some of his advisors, although within that stable, I have a personal friend whom I've not spoken with in years. However, I'm not going to help them to do their job. I'm not going to help them to do their job. The simple thing to do here is to show enough respect first for the president, who deemed it fit that he could be brought on board to assist in driving the agenda, or the renewed hope agenda of the APC administration. And you can look at that as a form of government of a unity. But he does not appreciate what that is. Where there is no need for commotion, like Dr. Ruben Abati earlier today described the situation as Fuji House of Commotion, where there is no need for this kind of hire. You find Justin WIKE stoking trouble all the time. And it seems novel to me that in a season where the ban has, the shot has not been called or has not been fired, where the ban has not been lifted on active political campaigns, it became so lawless, reckless, loose. It's all over the place, stoking up trouble and making sure that political tension is really boiling over beyond what any barometer or thermometer, clinical or whatever, would be able to measure. It's a loose cannon. So thinking that, oh, they all are, because some of these reports too may not be wholly correct. However, if we find corroboration in official quarters, and with people like the Secretary General, Secretary of the National Secretary of the ruling party, All Progressives Congress, in the person of Senator Bashiru Ajibola, firing a salvo at WIKE, because WIKE does not know how to even draw the line that it's not every fight you want to throw your hat in the ring for. He easily could be baited. I do not know, and we won't put our mouth in the affairs of his family, but little bait, he falls for it. He boils over with anger and whatever. What anybody would want to see here is that righteous anger that says, hey, Minister WIKE, take it easy. After all, a man that was born in 1967, you still have some remarkable number of years ahead of you. Insulting Atiku today, who is old enough to be his father. Insulting retired commando, or sometimes addressed with the title of chief, Olabode George, and several other people. Honestly, I do not even see the component of tradition and cultural ethos in his conduct, and yet we say, oh, we are a people, a cultured people. It just, oh my.
So
I do not understand this phenomenon. So, Ola, sorry. Yeah, so whether they are meeting Tinubu in Paris or Abu Dhabi or Dubai, wherever, these are things that easily could be tackled within the domestic space. I had a respected senior advocate of Nigeria, Dr. Olisa Agbakoba, earlier tonight, wondering, what is this craze about? What is it about? I mean, in reality, they must speak up. If they need assistance, if they need to check into some facility, to get some management in terms of how to handle their anger, they should do it. But setting the whole place on fire, making the place ungovernable and intractable, one thing I know is that if the card is played well, it is not likely that Fubara would be successfully impeached or removed from office. That is my take on things as they are now in Rivers State. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, when we do come back, maybe later on to this story, or try to revisit it, there's two questions that will, because we don't run out of time right now, there's two questions I would want you to think about before then. The first is that is WIKE becoming a burden for President Tinubu? And
Certainly.
Also, why would two people just in the last 7 hours withdraw? There's a report here, there's a headline here saying that two WIKE-backed lawmakers withdraw from moves to impeach Fubara.
The pressure is already closing in. Simple. We don't need to come back to it. Certainly, it has always been a burden to President Tinubu. It's always been an embarrassment to Tinubu and Nigeria as a country. And two, if those people are backing out, they are towing party. They are towing party line. And in the final analysis, everybody knows that it's not an easy thing. Honestly, they are just toying with somebody who is so soft and so nice. Otherwise, WIKE himself should have been in chains, in manacles already for plotting to unseat a duly constituted government for personal aggrandizement.
Okay, I would like to understand more about that if we have time when we come back to it. But do me a favor, ladies and gentlemen. Again, Happy New Year. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, follow, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we do go live. And we'll be right back. All right, let's get into some Trump news. In what they call Operation Absolute Resolve, Trump captures Maduro. I think this is the first time we're reporting on this, and sets a lethal red line for Iran. That's more of a recent news. Let me bring you up to speed on what they're saying today. They said a midnight raid, a captured president, and a new quote-unquote acting president. The world is still reeling from the news that on January 3rd, 2026, U.S. Special Forces successfully infiltrated Caracas and captured Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro in his fortified palace. Maduro is currently in New York facing federal narco-terrorism charges in a move that has stunned international diplomats. President Trump took to Truth Social this weekend to post an image of himself as the, and I quote, acting president of Venezuela. Trump has declared a national emergency to seize control of Venezuela oil revenues held in U.S. account, stating the U.S. will run the country until the transition is safe. Meanwhile, the U.S. Navy has established a total blockade, seizing shadow fleet tankers linked to Russia and Iran. Chief, we're seeing the Monroe Doctrine enforced with literal handcuffs. Is this the liberation of a nation?
And really, is it really replicating Monroe Doctrine?
That's what many people are saying.
Let me tell you.
Yeah. Before you continue, let me give you the lowdown of the Iran protest red line real quick.
Right, thank you.
All right. So they said tensions between Washington and Tehran have reached a breaking point following weeks of massive anti-government protests across all 31 Iranian provinces. President Trump warned on Sunday that the regime has officially crossed red lines, with reports that over 500 protesters have been killed by security forces. Trump has ordered the military to review very strong options, including airstrikes. In a characteristic move, the president has announced he is speaking with Elon Musk about deploying Starlink to restore internet across the Iranian people. Despite the threat, Trump claims the Iranian government has called him to propose a meeting, even as they warn of a preemptive strike against U.S. interest. So, we saw the missiles flying in Nigeria last month, right? So, is Iran on the next?
Yeah, Christmas Day gift.
Yeah. What's your take on what is Jesus Christ?
Oh,
What is going on in the world?
Thank you very much. Well, what is going on in the world is that we may be on the verge of replay of history, such that the only difference is that we stand the threat of nations and humanity annihilating itself, not coming. Well, some esoteric spiritual literature have described a kind of apocalypse that would, in which maybe there will be incineration, that is fire destruction for the civilization we have currently. But that remains an issue of conjecture. That remains some personal experiences for certain people who study events relating to that and the fulfillment of prophecies over time. However, what we know is that whether in First World War or Second World War, there were similar situations relating to countries like Germany and some exile power that were known as the Axis in those days, coming together to seize territories until they started running over critical landmass, countries, geographical demarcations or delineations in Europe, until France was overrun, decimated, and then nobody could appease the sitting German Chancellor, Adolf Hitler, by the time he started running amok around 1939. And Chamberlain, the sitting British Prime Minister of that age, made certain proposals and was offering peace at all costs, and everybody was like, no. So they got a certain Mr. Churchill as the new prime minister, and then the tide changed. Remember, if you check the internet, or you are able, because years back as a university student, I got a rare gift from my brother-in-law, whom I always see as a father figure in my life, Mr. Akipelu Fashemore. He gave me collected speeches. At that time, there was nothing called internet. So he gave me collected speeches of Winston Churchill. And I went through the inspirational collections of that anthology. And it really inspired me on how to give responsible public speeches that will rally people to a worthy cause or worthy causes. Now, the moment we live in is suggestive of something similar to that. First, it was the Russian strongman, Vladimir Putin, that overran Ukraine. And in a fashion that is similar to maybe the character of strong people and dictators and fascists all over the world, Donald Trump probably doing what he wants to do, or probably drawing inspiration from Vladimir Putin, has done the same in Venezuela, taking in Maduro. Some people even pronounce him with Yoruba tone, Maduro, whatever tonal inflection could be applied in this situation.
Maduro.
That's right. So Maduro, and so he was captured, and people started asking, what could be going on? They said he's a narco-terrorist, head of state, and what have you. At least the terms of agreement, the armistice that was flown around the world, during Second World War was addressing a situation in which people will not gang up to be aggressive. Rather, there will be this deterrent situation in which nations will come together to offer common defense against antagonistic, belligerent, and probably bellicose political leaders. And so what we have today is that such attempt through NATO, through United Nations Security Council, or whatever arrangement you have, is on the retreat because of the go it alone policy initiative of Mr. Donald Trump. And that is not good enough in terms of upholding law and ethics, at least code of conduct and engagement post Second World War. On the contrary, what we find is that Mr. Donald Trump at times saying, oh, no law, no limit could hold him in check other than his morality if he wants to launch after any sovereign, whether in terms of a personality or country. All of that is not good. That signposts that the world is in retreat in terms of peace and tranquility and commonality and human solidarity or solidarity of humanity. So these are things we must consider. And what does this portend? You can wake up tomorrow and find out that aggressive dictators such like Kim Jong-un in North Korea is deciding to invade a country that has not acted in provocation. You can wake up tomorrow and find out that China wants to take over Thailand and Taipei is capital. And that from the way he's been talking, that is Donald Trump, targeting or saying, oh, he's going to do something about Greenland. Isn't that going to put a spanner or a cog in the wheels of the alliances built and consolidated by way of NATO over the years? Because there is this threshold with NATO. An attack on a NATO entity is an attack on all within the NATO framework. So Greenland belongs to Denmark, and somebody decides to be aggressive, wages a war of, wages a war of attrition or, became so territorial. What do you think would happen? These are the issues. Now, to the wave of protests in Tehran, the capital of Iran, or Iran, whichever is the case. In Africa, we pronounce it Iran. In America, because people like running here, it's pronounced Iran. Now, the deal is that it should be curious to you, Ola, that people who try to say, oh, we are setting up a government based on the model of God, the notion of the supremacy of God, holiness, and what have you, theocracy, which is what obtains under the mullahs and clerics led by the Ayatollah in Iran. They are the ones that are doing things that are egregious. People raising their voice. If in the time of the man that inspired the triumvirate of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, Patriarch Abraham, Moses, the lawgiver. If that was the way when Israelites or people of God were murmuring against him, if that was the standard with which he responded, annihilating and throwing stones, rocks, missiles, all kinds, to quash the voices of the people, wouldn't that have put God at abeyance? Even merely raising a voice against the people of God in a fashion that God considered rude. Moses was denied the opportunity of leading the then migrating people of Israel to the so-called promised land. So what is this saying? The religious leaders who call the shots in Iran today, listen and listen very well. They are killing God. They are killing God. You say you are a religious leader, you put your people to the sword, you put them down through all kinds of war weapons. And then you say people would want to follow that kind of God. I think the people who are running the show in Iran need a kind of brain reset. They need a kind of brain reset, and hear me good. Everybody all over the world, whether you call yourself a pastor, you say you are a man or woman of faith, and you do things that are antithetical to true faith, not being able to forgive, not being able to sometimes look at the possibility of using stick and carrot public and evils. Each time people do that, they do nothing other than kill God. And this is not just about the age of enlightenment when people said, oh, Isaac Newton, Immanuel Kant, other philosophers have just put God, I've just succeeded at killing God. What the Ayatollah Khamenei, successor to Khomeini in Iran, is doing, and all those people who have this caricature of leadership they call theocratic leadership all over the world, what they are doing sometimes is to expose their underbelly. They truly do not love God. They truly do not love themselves. And so if President Donald Trump is saying he's going to go there, declare some form of martial intervention and pull them down, it ought to be careful. Because at the end of the day, they always have a way of pinning things on us Americans. And they make it look like, oh, it's because we want to take it's invested now. Venezuela. Donald Trump does not talk of putting in place democratic structures. All he wants to do is talk about oil, oil, oil. And people are like, no, that shouldn't be the model. When America goes to somewhere, they put something in place. And what is driving this finally on the part of Donald Trump?
Let's make sure that's finally.
Yeah, finally. What is driving all this out of mainstream agenda? It's not liked by majority of Americans today. His runaway cachet was immigration reform. And the way he's gone about it, Americans are rejecting him, and then stereotyping people. Initially, it was about race. Now it's moved from race. It's gone to, at some point we want to remove violent criminal elements who have been nesting around the United States. Now it's moved from that. Even Americans are targeted. And all these things are going to be on the voting block. There must be one stunt or the other, whether trying to strike down persecutors of Christians in Nigeria, invade Venezuela, take hostage the leader of such a sovereign country like a common felon, something that has not even been done to him, having been found guilty by several judicial bodies in the United States, and so on and so forth. So for me, some of the antics and theatrics of Donald Trump borders on diversion. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. So we're gonna see if we have time to come back. I had some questions around that, but we have some other trendy stories around the world. So we're just gonna jump right at it. Do me a favor, ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. We'll be right back. All right, the EKPOMA breakout, 52 protesters remanded, and the tragedy of Osagie Abraham. All right, so it says the town on edge from kidnapping protest to a tragic shooting and 50 arrests. EKPOMA is at a breaking point. Chaos erupted in EKPOMA, Edo State this past weekend as residents and students of Ambrose Ali University took to the streets to protest a terrifying surge in kidnapping and insecurity. What began as a desperate cry for government intervention quickly turned violent. On Saturday, January 10th, protesters blocked federal highways and reportedly invaded Kara Market, seizing livestock in retaliation against those they suspect are behind the abduction. This is according to actually some educational website. But they're also saying the situation turned deadly when a soldier reportedly discharged a firearm hitting 32-year-old Osagie Abraham. The Edo State Commissioner of Police, Monday Agbonika, has since visited the victim in the hospital and ordered a full investigation into the military conduct. As of today, Monday, security agencies have arrested over 50 people in connection with looting and an attack on the palace of the Onoje of EKPOMA, while the town remains under a heavy security presence. Residents like Stella Osagie are speaking out, saying the police are failing to stop the actual kidnappers while cracking down on protesters, according to TVC News. So we're seeing a pattern across Nigeria, citizens protesting for their lives only to be met with bullets and arrest. Is this a government losing control? We've been having this discussion for a while. What is happening in Edo State? Can you go ahead, Chief, give us your analysis, sir?
Well, what exactly may be happening here? Let us give some room for dynamics in terms of logic and critical thinking right here. And what may be playing out is the fact that Nigerians, particularly at leadership level, they love democracy, but they don't like being held accountable. They love the perks of office, and they don't just want citizens to amplify, or let me say, they don't want citizens to be interested in how resources belonging to them are deployed, how resources are applied for the safety of lives and properties, and what have you. And in the particular case of Edo State,
sorry, sir. I'm told to give you a context here. They said this is Eson West local government, and they're saying the Edo political climate already is heated in that area.
Yeah, Eson West. Eson West.
That makes sense.
It's in Edo North Senatorial District. So, you're looking at people like, what's his name? Phillips, that was deputy governor of Edo State. You're looking at other political gladiators like the sitting senator of Edo State coming from that geopolitical area, that is former governor Adams Oshiomhole. So the context here is that it should not have boiled over like this. Things shouldn't have boiled over the way things are in Edo State currently. But you see, Governor Okwebolo, instead of minding the business of governance, has done more about not knowing when the whistle stopped. When the whistle stopped on politics, instead of minding the serious business of governance and leadership, every little thing he does, he has to just trumpet it to high heavens as a way to say that, there will be 2 million votes for President Tinubu come 2027. And the people may be fatigued. They may be tired of hearing such political brinksmanship. So, when you have chased after a goat, gets to a fence or a wall, it may probably turn back and want to give you a bite or a fight for your life. Probably that is what is happening with the people of Edo. And within that axis, once you move from Okene in Kogi State, and you are making your way to Okpela, all the way through Auchi and what have you. You talking of kidnappers then. And in a sovereign country where, when America tried to bomb out the daylight out of entrenched terrorists and bandits, people were talking and reminding the world of Nigeria's sovereignty. So this sovereignty that's been abdicated, allowing for people to be kidnapped at will and being targeted and violated at will. Where is that sovereign will now? This must be part of what was driving or stoking the anger in the people of Edo State. But we cannot hold brief for our Indians use peaceful protest instead of violence. Every form of protest that must be democratic and lawful has to be peaceful. But in this case, almost turning Bola Ahmed Tinubu to a kind of a dictator, erecting his images, billboards, proclaiming him, even before ban has been officially lifted on active politics or politicking, is annoying, it's nauseous and ludicrous. So the people are pushing back because already people may be sensing a situation in which elections that would hold in 2027 may have already been rigged by the minders of the system. And this may be an harbinger, an ominous sign, a bird of omen for things to come, for everybody that has been jumping ship, thinking, oh, making Nigeria a unipolar political place. One-party system is the saving grace. Just go and embrace and kiss the royal canvas of the sitting president, would offer you salvation and you would be voted back into office in 2027. This is a learning moment for every one of individuals operating on this model in Nigeria. There are better creative ways of trying to retain power or gain power than just using the instrument of state to run people over. And one important thing to note is that in Iran, Donald Trump is looking at the possibility of military intervention because weapons purchased with taxpayers' money are being turned against legitimate and lawful protesters. I hope Nigeria will not get to that point. In the past, it almost happened when the government of the government of Goodluck Jonathan needed some critical ammunition, and the United States will not sell to Nigeria because they weren't sure that the government will not be using it to target legitimate dissenting voices. And during EndSARS tragedy, you saw what the government of Nigeria did with soldiers and policemen, although reports also suggested that some law enforcement agents were targeted by protesters. We do not need this kind of model. Nigeria should be that shining place for everybody to see that, oh, look at the way democracy is working. Why is Ghana jumping ahead of Nigeria in global reckoning and reward system? It's because they are able to allow for some robust democratic engagement. But in Nigeria, anytime anybody raises a voice, they have to maul them down. That is not right. And so, for Okpebolo, if protesters that you now put at 53 have been arrested, make sure they have been arrested for legitimate reasons, not because of a political persecution or crackdown. And for the government that is at the center, they should understand that the government is for everybody, not just for those who will vote for you or who will not vote for you, for those who voted for you or those who did not vote for you. This must be a house that will contain everybody. After all, Bola Tinubu said, there will be several wives in a household at times, just that the mothers, the bedrooms may be different. It therefore means that people should be able to accommodate each other and then jettison an attempt at raining like octopus. The model that is being suggested in a place like River State by Yesun Wike, who so nebulous politically and say he has a rainbow coalition. When we see a true rainbow coalition, such that was what was the original idea of a rainbow coalition was in America here, which Jesse Jackson proposed when he ran for the presidency, I think around 1984. When we see a real rainbow coalition, we know what it is. This one in Rivers, or the one they are forcing all over Nigeria, may not really look like true rainbow. Thank you. Hello?
I'm here. Quick question for you, sir. I know you probably spoke to it a little bit. The 50 protesters.
You said 53?
52, yes, 52. There's multiple.
Okay, 52.
All right. So, I'm just. Are they accusing them to be looters? I mean, why arrest so many people? Because again, the students are now saying that okay, wait, you're supposed to be fighting bandits for us. There's a lot of kidnapping going on, but they're spending all these resources basically arresting people that are protesting. What gives?
I cannot agree any less. The truth of the matter is that what government should be lawfully and legitimately launching after will be the people kidnapping and making the place insecure. You would, from a montage, a video montage by, on the social media, you had a lady saying that Okpebholo, maybe during one of those moments of grammatical flunks, said that Okpebholo promised them insecurity, and truly, since he got into office, nobody has been secured in Edo State. So it should look more into that instead of just saying, "Oh, protesters." And these protesters must be held accountable. Maybe if at all they were involved in looting and violent destructions. Well, I suggest it must be done expeditiously. It must be done lawfully and constitutionally. Nobody should be denied. What's it called? Lawful protection and due process just because of exercising a constitutionally protected demonstration or protest clause. Yes, that should be embraced by every citizen. That is one good way, veritable way of making elected leaders accountable. That is it.
Okay. May God help Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, hit like, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. We'll be right back. Join the conversation in the comments, please. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you've been hanging out, please be a part of the community. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications when we go live. So I know I had do you want to go first? I had a question for you about, I wasn't satisfied with your answer about Wike being a burden to President Tinubu. Or some people are also calling him like probably the most important soldier for 2027. People, is that speculation?
That is delusional.
That's delusional. Okay.
It is delusional. It is not just speculative. That is a gross and hyperbolic stretch of the importance of one man. It is one man, one vote. So to make him look like, oh, he's this indispensable. Nonsense. You withdraw that federal protection for him, what's it called? The protection of federal might for him is just going to be taking the cue like any of us. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anyway, I know you probably have...
and he has always been a burden to Tinubu. We can't dance around that. We
So
cannot
is
dance
it
around.
like Tinubu is probably scared of Wike or something? That's what.
No,
Why did he feel the need to appoint him?
Tinubu cannot be scared of Wike now. Wike is just a useful village idiot for the moment. We
Really?
sometimes we all are, yes, he's just a useful village idiot. It's a village idiot. It's a useful one, for that matter. There have been times, yes, there have been times we felt so important. Personally, there have been times I feel like, oh, I'm on the ground with these people. But when they started showing the stuff they are made of, I started having a rethink about the place of humanity. Maybe you find more loyalty with dogs than humans. So if it looks like it's a darling of people who are using him to really scuttle democratic arrangements or to achieve certain ulterior motives politically today, he will soon be spent and he will know his true place. That is just the truth. Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our final segment of the hour. Let's welcome back the publisher, editor-in-chief, and High Chief Oladimeji Abitogun for our concluding dialogue. I know a lot has been happening. Condolences to the Chiamamanda who lost her child in the recklessness of Nigerian systems.
Yes.
I know you wanted to speak to that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, and if you come from a family where there have been similar tragedies in the past, you would be able, to relate with the situation in which avoidably the Shinamanda and her husband have unfortunately be sunk into at the moment, and so sad, very unfortunate. I mean, you find Nigerian doctors, they are some of the best. Nigerian doctors are some of the best. Make no mistake about that.
Yes.
Personally, I am a living testament to how dexterous and how skillful or how properly trained they are. For example, when I had that very bad shattering of my femur way back in 2001, I was told by medical doctors in the United States that with the painstaking job done putting together the shattered bone of my femur, putting there a long plate and 12 screws, that probably in some advanced countries there would be no such degree of patience to put that leg back. And when I started working fully, years after, I did not have any limp. That is the miracle of medicine in Nigeria. However, there could be negligence, starting from the level of nurses in Nigeria, public health workers. You run into them, you think, oh, they are wonderful. Some of them are verbal assassins. They would have filed their tongue. They would have deliberately prepared to tear apart any prospective patient coming to hospitals. And then you look at the way the structure or building of hospitals in Nigeria today, honestly, you won't be happy. And you see, compared with such models, for less amount of money, what Americans will erect, what British people will build, what French people will do. You continue to wonder, among us, amount of budgetary votes, very paltry reality or realization in terms of healthcare delivery in Nigeria. So for a young man, a little baby to have been lost in this circumstance, January 7th, very sad, very sad. And I can empathize, I can feel what Shinamanda and the entire family and our entire family are feeling at the moment. You know, yes, it's almost, and it is not just in medical settings that alone in Nigeria, not just with medical, with delivery in terms of medicine and science. Yes, it's something that permeates several levels.
It's a systemic problem across the board in Nigeria. And
yes,
unfortunately, some people keep trying to compare America or the Western world or UK to Nigeria. It's like
There would never be such equivalence, or like, there would never be such, unless we have a change of heart.
What do you get from such comparison? Of at least we are like what about where they shoot in America? What are all these stupid questions?
And trying to draw equivalence,
a parallel,
it will never add up. And you even see it in the quality of people of faith. Easily they will betray you, they will betray the system, and then they want to justify it with the name of God. They don't even know when they violate your space or abuse. And they will tell you that thing that you think can be handled medicine scientifically. Oh, faith will do it. Balderdash. And when you do not succumb to that standard, they label you a satanic being. But I always know I believe in my God, but it is personal to me. And so you bring all this to public space.
Reality is this is the reality. The reality is that we've come a long way as the human race.
That's right.
Technology-wise, civilization-wise, and there's nobody that has decided to settle for living in a cave.
Let me burst the bubble of these people who are retarded but pretend to have some super weight IQ. Let me bubble their bust. Under Hammurabi rule,
bust their bubble.
Yeah, bust their bubble. Whatever. Yeah, let me bust their bubble.
Karo
Dimasho, keep the match chat in Bofo. Now, I want to draw your attention to something that evolved in under Hammurabi code or laws, and then was embraced by Persian civilization. And then passing down over the time. Something on ethical standard. Do you know that in ancient Hammurabi period, if a child is taken to a nurse or a doctor and or somebody is trying to give birth and that woman passes on, dies, even during that ancient period, the penalty for that will be for that nurse to lose one breast.
Wow.
But because there has never been any consequences for negligence, neglect, dereliction, and all kinds of stuff happening in Nigeria, and also concerning official conduct, which is why people would pick the drum and dance, civil servants building number of assets they cannot account for, and then you decide to live a simple life. They come after you, and they try to savage you that, oh, you haven't achieved anything in life. Who is competing with you? Focus on the job. Make Nigeria better.
Yeah,
and that is how.
It's not a competition.
It's not a competition. Coming to say,
it's Nigerian versus Nigeria yesterday. It needs to be better than yesterday. It needs to keep improving. It needs to be better.
This is where we are going. Telling me your father's Mercedes-Benz is bigger than mine. Who cares? Let me even ride a horse. And then when you say, I have a 5% IQ, I'm telling you, thank you. At least you still give me credit for having 5% IQ. But on this show, this is not about flexing on due influence or what have you. Influence peddling. Your name cannot do this and do that. You are spent. You are not relevant. And who told you that? Let it even be just 2-3 people listening to us. We are going places, Ola.
Yes,
and we won't
shout out to all the 6 people watching live.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, and we are going somewhere. We are going places. We will never be deterred. We will never be discouraged. And when people like this come around you, they don't even feel like, oh, you are going to be discarded at some point. You won't have a sense of that. But don't feel too important. Like we're advising Wike. At some point, they will give you that kick in the rear. And then you know where you properly belong. Like some of us have had to learn the hard way. It does not matter. You may be dying. That is the time they will come together, cook up lies against you. So irresponsible.
Wait, Chief, why do I feel like you're speaking about some specifics here?
No, let's not make it general. You know, I listen to elders. I listen to elders like our father in the Abitogun house. We are not people who do not have oniti Jews. Our people tell us, don't do this, we are going to listen. Àwọn ṣe ọmọ àlẹjà, and kì í ṣe ọmọ fìdásílẹ̀ ìfogun ẹnu pani. We do not drop the sword and the sheep to want to cut people to pieces with our, with war of a tongue. No, no.
May God
help all of us, and we will still continue to love. We will still continue to love people. Ola. We will continue to love them, and we will not hate our ancestors. We will not hate our forebears. Whatever, boundary is boundary. If I say this is my privacy, do not invade my space. Respect me. Wherever that leads you, whatever that ends you.
I promise. Me and Chief, we just jumped on this show. I don't know who is talking about. Hit the like button.
Ever be able to. Allah, you won't be able to know, because I've not been trafficking in insidious and incendiary stuff, such that you destroy people and you don't even show gratitude.
But what you're saying is real, sir. What you're saying is real.
That is life. It is life. I had to walk the valley of the shadow of death to know that some people, in spite of everything I've done to make sure they stand, would wish me to die. I'm here, and I will die. I will live long. Continue to pray for me. Thank you. Happy New Year. And long life, longevity. Some people say, instead of prosperity, they say prospero. Whatever it is, we are here. And we aren't leaving time for nobody.
Thank you.
But I'm happy praise. I'm happy shagun were. I want to see were. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified. We'll be back sooner than you think. Thank you for hanging out with us. See you on the next one. Take care. God bless.
Yeah.